I'm Syama, CEO of Scaling Retail, and I'm excited to chat with you today about the power of user-generated content. Now, obviously, as a fashion brand, it can be very challenging to be always coming up with your own content. Certainly, the budgets can get expensive. Trust me, I know. I'm behind all of those budgets. And honestly, guys, the more channels that you start to build your platforms on, the more audience that you build, the more velocity of content you actually need to be producing. That's time consuming and expensive and posts a lot of other logistics in terms of scheduling and hiring and all of those production components. So, how do you alleviate all of that stress in terms of having to produce all that content on your own? Well, here comes, riding in on a beautiful horse, our favorite friend, user-generated content. Now, user-generated content is the content that comes from your consumers. It is the content that helps them really connect to your brand. And honestly, guys, these are the types of consumers who are already espousing your brands, who are already fans of your brands, and chances are have already been posting about you without even maybe tagging you. So how do you take a consumer who's wearing your product, who's already heavily engaged on social, and then convert them into someone who actually wants to take action by tagging you in the photograph, by being able to use the hashtag, participate in those giveaways and promotions, and obviously do their part of espousing your brand to their community. That type of user-generated content is typically found in the form of, hey, let me take an Instagram photo. I'm gonna go ahead and tag the brand because maybe I'm feeling an impulse towards being a part of a giveaway that's going to be able to help yield something back in return. Maybe I want to be able to get on the visibility of that brand because they're doing the next campaign around customers who are wearing their products. For example, Girlfriend Collective, they do a great job of highlighting their consumers, people who are already in the brand, who are already posting about it. So when you start to create a culture around supporting user-generated content, the most important things to ask yourself are, well, what are the guidelines of how I actually want people to be posting, right? What is the aesthetic of the brand? Brands out there that suffer from a lack of creative direction actually really lose out here because they're not able to properly guide consumers into how to really post the right photos that are going to get them selected to be chosen to be in that campaign, that repost, or even that blog post. Warby Parker, for the longest time, you did a thing where they would look to see user-generated content, select their favorites, and turn them into a campaign, turn them into a newsletter post, put them in a blog. People love to see other people reflected in content because it helps them have resonance with a brand. It says, hey, not only do I love this brand because of the products, but here are other people out there who I'm either aspirationally connected to or quite literally see myself in them, and therefore creates that ecosystem of community. So first things first, guys, in terms of getting user-generated content, the first thing is to understand, well, what is the kind of content that you're looking to have produced? Are you looking for video content? Are you looking for people to have a conversation around their feelings, around a certain movement or a cultural zeitgeist movement that's coming up right now? Is it that you want them to be producing images to show them in their greatest strength, images when they're at work? What is the theme here? User-generated content can be so broad, but when it comes to getting specific, you really want to start matching that up to your editorial calendar, right? What are the key messages and stories you want to be telling, and how might your users play an integral role in that? The other thing I would heavily consider is in terms of your just general overall marketing initiatives, you may want to spend some time investing into your initial outreach into community. What does that mean? That means taking a look at the people who are current consumers of your brand, getting on the phone, understanding who they are, finding out their story. Taking their stories, choosing the best stories, the ones that really reflect your brand mission or values or even your editorial kind of point of view that month, and really building up those stories and creating beautiful content that you can then flip out into the world of social. When you start to do campaigns like that and you start to show users and consumers in your product in a narrative all of a sudden you're reinforcing to the consumers who are not in that campaign exactly how you want content to be produced, what your style is, and the ways in which you're looking for users to kind of speak, do their cadence of communication, and how you want them to look. So that becomes important, kind of subtly setting the playing field. Other ways of hacking great user-generated content is really to be able to get a cohort of friends together, not necessarily in person, you want them to be in their own environments, a cohort of friends together, gift them products, send out some visual guidelines and say, hey guys, do you mind taking some photographs and posting yourself in our product in either your style, how you wear it, or following these brand guidelines, because that way, again, you're setting the example of how you want future consumers to be participating in a user-generated content strategy. Now, this takes a heavy amount of uplifting. It's not something you're going to be able to just pull out overnight. So how do you start to build that over time? Well, certainly we want to start with something very simple. A great hashtag strategy says simply, hey, tag us or put us in your hashtag XYZ something something about the campaign and brand, and we're going to look to post the best of those images back on our feed. So you can start to do it very subtly by putting that type of messaging on your thank you pages, putting that messaging in your emails that you're sending out for your newsletters, certainly on the invoice and the packing slip. You want to keep encouraging people to take photos and post about the product, tag the brand in there, and you can start to see naturally how does your audience kind of take to that kind of messaging. How do they naturally take to their cameras, and what's their first instinct and impulse? What's great about that is you'll see a wide variety of ways in which people engage with your brands, and you can quite simply choose which items or which kinds of content you want to be repurposing now or even later. So to wind back, guys, editorial calendar. What are the key messages? Start to have conversations with users within your own consumer base. Figure out the storylines there. Take the opportunity at either co-creating with your consumer, campaign initiatives to be able to show user story and point of view, and take a very simple entree into the space by using a hashtag strategy to get them to want to post more. I've seen great activations in stores where we've seen great hashtags that are written on mirrors. I've seen great activations on receipts when you're purchasing something in store. At the end of the day, it's about asking yourself, what is the simplest way that I can have my consumer engage in my brand in a way that's going to help them do it easily and in a way that's going to get me the right content? All right, guys, that's all from me over here at Scaling Retail. If you're interested in activating user-generated content or even thinking about the ways to use that content once you have it, a la using images on your website, the appropriate ways of using them in ad campaigns, and certainly the best way to disseminate that kinds of content on different social platforms, then you may want to send us an email at hello@scalingretail.com. Lots of different ways to take user-generated content and turn it into a major amplifying mouthpiece for your brand when done correctly. When not done correctly, not so great images, not so great content, super disjointed, and ultimately maybe a super pain in your ass. So hope to hear from you guys soon to make a strategy like this something that's realizable, achievable, and certainly scalable. Talk to you later. Bye.